Gunners, welcome to UG Gunners TV. We are back again with our post-match. Arsenal 2, Chelsea 2. Steve, we are going to go through the conversation. Please just join us on the comments there as we join to the conversation. What went wrong? Wow, what a match it was. Arsenal going to Stamford Bridge and fetching a draw that none of us expected. I don't know. Big Steve, tell us what went wrong. What did you see of the game?
It was a very frustrating night, I think, for the Arsenal fans. I think they expected a good result. Looking at the past three matches, Arsenal versus Chelsea, I think Arsenal have been on the high for the past three previous games before this 2-2 draw. So Arsenal fans were really excited and buzzing for this game. But unfortunately, Arsenal came into this game. I think Chelsea started on the high note, pressing high, getting Arsenal on the counter-attacks. And I think Mikel Arteta, I think the lineup wasn't something that the Arsenal fans can maybe complain about, with the exception of maybe Thomas Partey. I think the fans expected Thomas Partey to start.
Just give a pause at Thomas Partey's issue is now becoming, to me, it's becoming a serious problem. What's the problem?
Absolutely.
Because the whole of this season, I haven't seen Arteta selecting Partey in its right position or according to fans' expectation. Why is the issue? Where's the issue? Why do you think Arteta is not trusting Partey this much, even if we expect him to be in a game?
I think we can point out the issue of his fitness levels. Remember, he has been out for about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks, out about his fitness levels. But the Arsenal fans are not having it because they know Thomas Partey is actually the engine in that midfield. So it was disappointing that he didn't feature in that game against Chelsea, and he still really lacked control.
I think Arteta is not being grateful to Partey. Because remember the Man City game, not until Partey came in and Arsenal got that win. Right now, we expected him to bring him at a point when we needed him the most.
Exactly.
We are all frustrated and confused and really, really disappointed with the substitution made, and Partey was not part of it. What do you see?
You look at actually in that midfield. You look at Chelsea's midfield trio of Moses Caicedo, Gallagher, and Enzo Fernandez. Actually, it was actually a very good trio in there. That Gallagher was actually the man there. He was really putting Arsenal's midfield on tenterhooks. He was pouncing on them. You look at Jorginho's getting the ball and immediately gets the ball. Gallagher is just right at him. You look at Martin Odegaard. Of course, he ghosted almost the entire game. He featured in. He ghosted. You look at Declan Rice. Of course, he tried to pull in some strings, but the missing link there was Thomas Partey. And look at the fans. The fans were actually singing Thomas Partey's name half-time when they saw we really lacked control in that midfield. So I think Mikel Arteta maybe is learning. I might cut him some slack because of the doubts maybe he has of Thomas Partey's fitness. So, but Jorginho, the 2 games he has featured, he has not been so terrible, but there's that element of match control that Thomas Partey gives us that we've lacked in these past 2 games.
Sure. Because for me, looking at Jorginho that game, unless apart from a few missed passes that he gave, but he was brilliant. His passing was okay. His ball distribution was okay. But in that game, there's a place where I realized that pace, our speed, our forward marching was really, really stepped down because of the absence of Partey to me. That's what I thought that game. Because Chelsea's team, in the first place, I looked at it and I really looked down on them. I was like, this team can't match up this Arsenal squad. But I was surprised when we reach a place and at some point Chelsea was trying to dominate the game.
I think what Chelsea actually did well was the game plan. I think they had a game plan and they executed it perfectly. You look at the way they came into that game. The idea was try to sit back, make it tight, and wait Arsenal to come and take them on counter-attacks. And that's what Chelsea played with. They're very organized at the back. Look at Cucurella against Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka literally had a terrible night against that guy. Cucurella was actually pouncing on Bukayo Saka. So Chelsea sat back, and waiting to hit Arsenal on the counter-attacks. Of course, it's the likes of Raheem Sterling,
Yes.
Mudryk, and of course the young man called Palmer. So Chelsea's game plan, I think that's why we give Mauricio Pochettino actually a big credit. He realized that if he used to go toe-to-toe with Arsenal, matching Arsenal pace to pace and maybe trying to pass that ball, Arsenal were actually going to hit them seriously. So their game plan actually was executed perfectly by his players.
Wow. So katulune ku goals ebatebye. So goals ebatebye ezo. Okay, let's start with the penalty. Penalty yabadde mazima ddala yabaddeko.
I think the rules are a little bit harsh. I don't know whether there was some change of rules because looking at that handball of Saliba, I think the cross comes in from Raheem Sterling, and Saliba, as a defender, he had to jump to react on that cross. So naturally, you cannot jump folding your arms.
Sure.
It's actually next to impossible. So he had to try to raise his arms, and definitely was not looking toward his arm. He was literally looking downwards while trying to hit that ball. Unfortunately, the ball came and hit his arm, and literally couldn't do anything to avoid that handball. So it was a little bit harsh, but if those are the rules, then we had nothing to do about it. But I think it was a little bit harsh. But of course, credit to Chelsea.
Yes.
Those first minutes, they actually giving us an actually territory time,
Yeah,
especially Raheem Sterling.
Raheem Sterling was really brilliant.
Exactly.
He really was taking Arsenal on, and looking at everything apart from Raheem Sterling. Let us first look at the performance of the midfield, of Chelsea's midfield. We have Enzo was there. We also have Caicedo and Gallagher versus our midfield. What the battle there? I saw it, at some point Arsenal badenga like our penetration.
Yes.
Penetration here,
Was
but
lacking.
they
Yeah, was
that
lacking.
those dead balls like the brilliance. Unless apart from the brilliance of Declan Rice in this
Declan Rice.
midfield, I believe Declan Rice, because he wants to, he's giving almost 100
Absolutely,
plus.
absolutely.
He's giving 100 plus in this because he's overlapping. There's that,
Absolutely.
and even in the first time, about kaya badakeza kukunonya chi okufuna ku chance.
Yes.
The first Arsenal chance in the first half. Which one was it? I think it was his overlap.
Absolutely.
So our midfield, what advice do you need?
I think that comes to the first point actually we've hinted on about Thomas Partey. When you have that central midfielder or a DM for Partey's sake, it tries to sit at the base of the midfield and allows Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice actually to do what they do. But I think when you look at Odegaard, when Partey is not in that field, Odegaard actually comes so deep to pick that ball. So his attacking prowess is limited.
Yes.
Because when Partey is playing, Partey receives the ball from the goalkeeper or from the defenders, and the next thing is looking at where is Odegaard. Immediately releases the ball to Odegaard, he releases to maybe to his wingers, but with Partey lacking that midfield, you realize that actually most times the goalkeeper holds the ball and he has to hit it long. Yes. And definitely when you do that, Martin Odegaard ghosts in the entire game. Because when you want to see Martin Odegaard very active in the game, he has to have the ball on his feet. But when you don't have that control in midfield due to the lack of Thomas Partey, that's where the problem comes.
We're having a brilliant conversation here about that game. Now let us now go to the evening of the game. The second half came, Arsenal was 1-0 down. Within less than 3 minutes, Chelsea was ahead by 2 goals. Talk about the keeper. David Raya was trusted in this game. Trusted and replaced Ramsdale, which up to now, Arsenal supporters all over the world are still contemplating, and that's the reason why Ramsdale is supposed to be on the bench. But we are seeing his David Raya. How does the goal come in? First try to give us a review. Please, viewers, please give us your comment. Just join us on the conversation. You can give us your comment. Tell us, what do you think of the game? Arsenal going to Stamford Bridge and taking a 2-2 draw. Give us
I think the conversation concerning the two keepers is going to actually continue, I think, until the end of the season. Mikel Arteta prefers now David Raya. I think we can conclude that David Raya is now Arsenal's number 1. But I think right from the North London derby, that actually David Raya came in for Aaron Ramsdale, I think David Raya has been a little bit shaky in that goal. Of course, you know him that his strength actually lies in ball distribution and trying to control the game actually from the back and maybe coming up for those crosses. But actually, those qualities that he's having, actually, I don't know whether he's having a little bit of pressure to prove to the coach and to the fans that he's actually good in what he does. So he is trying to overdo it. That's why I see in most of the games, he receives the ball, he holds this, and actually the attackers of the opponents actually come into him and he loses the ball literally. You can see the example actually against Man City. Alvarez, he had the ball, Alvarez came close to him. Exactly.
Continuously. He passed the ball, Modric picked it. We thank God that he was too fast. Absolutely. And picked it and grabbed it, and they got a corner.
Absolutely.
So, how did that goal come in? First, give us how do you judge of that?
It's actually it was actually a very shabby goal to concede because I think there was no intention for actually Modric to be scoring that goal. I think his intention was to cross the ball, but the most absolutely the sad part of David Raya, he was out of his line.
Yes. How can you be on the 16-yard box and yet they are going to give a cross and you're not on the bar line of your post? And that for me, look at David Raya. I started by trusting him when the season started. When they brought him up, we were always happy. His ball distribution are good. I'll give him maybe, let me say, out of 10, I can say 6, which are better than Ramsdale at some point. But we are still lacking that confidence when he's in the goal.
So do you think at this moment, of course, looking at yesterday's game,
yes,
Arsenal fans actually after that goal went in the second
missing
goal,
Ramsdale.
Arsenal fans actually started singing Ramsdale.
I'm missing Ramsdale in this goal. At some point, I'm missing him.
Do you think Mikel Arteta must be ruthless and maybe come in to replace David Raya, or do you think David Raya must be given some time?
David Raya, honestly speaking, Ramsdale does not deserve what he's facing right now because there's nothing he did wrong.
Yes, to be dropped.
So I believe when at the Arsenal club, when they chose to have two best goalkeepers, they should choose also to rotate them at any point because you trust all of them. So that's what I think. So as we wrap up this conversation about Arsenal-Chelsea game,
maybe add something. Let's talk about Bukayo Saka's performance yesterday. I think the fans were a little bit concerned about his fitness levels.
Yes.
How did you see him in yesterday's game?
And the first half, I saw Bukayo Cucurella was really great. The way he was really trying to push on him and trying to avoid him to really have a moment. But I love the fact that at any point, the star boy is a star boy, star player is a star player.
He always picks up a moment.
He picked up a moment and bam, that cross, assist and throws us in the right place and giving us on that 2-2 draw, which giving us a point, putting us still in the unbeaten run.
So would you buy the idea of some fans that maybe Bukayo Saka needs some extra rest? Maybe to come into his full fitness?
Bukayo should be in the field provided it's good. The doctors don't really give us the conversation, but the Bukayo need to sit. Yeah, so Steve, as we wrap up this conversation, what do you think should be done better?
No, I think obviously the first thing that Mikel Arteta must do is to get Thomas Partey in the field. Thomas Partey must be in Arsenal's midfield. No debate about it.
And the last thing we are going to talk about, our forward. Goals are now becoming scarce. Goals are lacking. What's happening?
I think the entire front three, actually, people are quick to judge Bukayo Saka, but actually has been our brightest forward.
Yes.
If I'm to say so. You look at him, I think now in the entire season, I think he has about 5 goals and about 6 assists in all competitions. So actually, despite the fact that Arsenal fans are actually trying to point at him that he's not fit, he's not at his great form, actually statistics are saying the opposite. He's actually our threat going forward.
Sure.
So, but definitely we have concerns in our forward line. That's why I think the Arsenal fans are actually saying that we need maybe a striker come January if we are to go toe-to-toe with maybe the big boys in the league. So I think, and I also buy that idea, I think maybe we need a forward to try and maybe brighten that attack force there.
The conversation is still hot here. So, Big Steve, let us look at Arsenal goal and Arsenal comeback. The Arsenal comeback, 2-0 down, and the goals coming. Looking at the mistake from Sanchez, what do you say? Arsenal goals.
I think if there's something that lifted this Arsenal team was actually that mistake from Robert Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Yes.
Of course, the whole issue came in from what we've been talking about, David Raya trying to play out from the back, and he miscued that pass. Definitely landed on Declan Rice's feet.
Hungry, I call it a hungry.
Absolutely.
He was hungry the whole
he
game.
hit it first time, and looking at that angle, big credit to Declan Rice. He couldn't even try to compose the ball. First time, curled it, top corner, left-hand side. What a fantastic goal was from Declan Rice. And a big mistake, of course, it was a howler from Robert Sanchez. And that's where Arsenal picked up from. So credit to Arsenal.
And the second goal?
That goal. And of course, looking at the second goal, Bukayo Saka, literally 90 minutes. It was actually, Cucurella was having him the entire 90 minutes. Then, of course, Mikel Arteta, while the Arsenal fans were singing for Bukayo Saka to be substituted, of course, his concerns of his fitness levels, star boy Bukayo Saka picked up that moment. Gets the ball, of course, from Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz gives him the ball and he looks upwards, hits that cross, and what a run from Leandro Trossard. First time with his heel inside. Brilliant comeback from Arsenal.
For me, at some point, I thought Arsenal would win this game if the substitution were made right. Leaving Martin Odegaard into the field was going to give us, and you know, I think this game, Chelsea, are more going to like looking at toward Chelsea. They reached a place and they had given up. They had given up because their forward marching was lower, and their substitution moving Raheem Sterling and Mikhail Mudryk and all of them, their pace went down. But wow! It was a brilliant game.
Do you think it was 2 points dropped for Chelsea, or it was 1 point gain by Arsenal?
Me, I think to Arsenal, I expect Arsenal to win as an Arsenal fan. And for Chelsea, it was going to be a very big boost. Because remember, their performance since last season was bad, and they started poorly, you know, and they had won 2 games. Now, winning against Arsenal Football Club was going to be a big motivation for them. I think to them, it's just 2 points dropped.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Join us in the conversation. Give us your comment. Give us your likes and share. This is UG Gunners TV.